Today's video is just a quick recap on my last two races in the ZWIFT Racing League for the Bolt Race team that I ride for. So it is still, I'm afraid, a bit bike and computer game heavy. If you are desperate for more varied content, I assure you it is on the way really soon. In the meantime, like and subscribe and hit the notification button so that you know when it comes up. In the meantime, stick around because you might enjoy this, if for no other reason than I managed to beat all these skinny people up a mountain, which is moderately amusing, made me laugh at least. So let's do the boring race first. 2 weeks ago, it was race 5 of season 2, team time trial around New York. My only objective for this race was just to finish it properly. My last team time trial event had been a disaster. What the?
Why are you not there?
No. My bike had disconnected from the computer. The way these team events work are that the race starts, but you do not ride off with your teammates at the start. You go at an allotted later time. Can be 1 or 2 minutes after the actual start. If you pedal, you'll roll over the start line and default the race. So you sit still, but because I sat still, the bike thought I'd stopped and it disconnected. So when my teammates did ride off at their allotted time, I wasn't with them. When I finally got reconnected, I rode the whole thing on my own, completely useless. This time around, I was absolutely certain it was all going to be fine. I had researched the problem and I'd come up with a very clever solution. People had told me to go into the pairing mode screen when the race starts, but your ride hasn't started, and that way you can keep pedaling in the pairing mode screen and keep the computer bike link, but your avatar won't actually ride forward. I thought that was clever until this happened. My MacBook, with literally a couple of minutes before I was due to start, had a complete meltdown. In the end, I had to shut the MacBook down, reboot it, relog back into ZWIFT, and get ready to go again, except exactly the same thing happened again. At this point, there were about 30 seconds to go. I could not close the pop-ups down fast enough, so in the end I gave up completely. I shut the MacBook down, I logged into ZWIFT on my iPhone, and I raced using that, which sucks when you have a huge TV screen in front of you that you should be using. As for the race itself, incredibly boring. Team time trial, you're all riding single file, taking it in turns to go in the lead. We did okay. I think we came sort of middle of the pack in the end. Not particularly exciting race, but at least I finished it with my teammates. Okay, last night's race. Season 2, race 6. 3 laps up the ZWIFT Volcano, over 41 kilometers. An expected finish time for this of just over the hour for Category C riders. Long, hard, with 3 climbs up a volcano, which is basically a gigantic hill. That does not sound like a course where I can pick up any points, certainly not a significant number of points. So far this season I've been quite sneaky, or a tactical genius, depending on how you want to look at it. I've gone after sprint points instead, which basically means on courses with sprint sections within the race, I ride very slowly, save my energy, get to the sprint, crush it, get all the sprint points, and then ride very slowly to finish. But there was no sprint on this route. In fact, other than overall race points, the only additional points available were for the climb, which is a 4-kilometer slog up the volcano. At my weight, that does not sound like an event I can do particularly well at. And on top of that, yesterday was Pancake Day, and I'm now wondering if the 65% of my viewers that are not from the UK know what Pancake Day is, or Shrove Tuesday, if you want to get all biblical. Is Pancake Day global? Hey Siri. Okay, that got complicated. It turns out that in the UK, we eat pancakes, and in America, they do Mardi Gras, which seems like they win. Anyway, pancakes, I had about 14 of them, which meant I was racing at 101 kilograms, which is about 222 pounds in Mardi Gras money, and feeling sick. Into the race. EMEA W2 Division 1 Category C, 3 laps up the volcano. So as we set off, here is my plan of sorts. On this course with over 60 other riders, I'm going to be delighted to come in the top half. If I'm 30th or better, that's a good result for me. And that's okay points. 30th would get me 17 points. In fact, you get 17 points for anywhere from 26th to 30th. But importantly, if you drop position, you don't drop that many points. In fact, you could drop all the way down to 50th and you would only drop 4 race points. Likewise, if you increased your position up to 11th, you'd only get 3 extra race points. Now I know I'm never taking top 10, So my actual position can move quite dramatically from 30th up or down, and it won't make a significant difference to the number of points I get. So I was thinking, okay, now the theory is that heavier people can't climb as well, but this hill is only 3.5% gradient, which is not that steep. And actually there are sporting examples of heavier built people getting up mountains pretty well. So my plan was to take it easy at the start and then get to the bottom of the hill, blast up it as fast as I could. It was going to take between 7 and 8.5 minutes, I figured, and get the fastest up the mountain time. I could maybe get 3rd, 4th, 5th fastest up the mountain and then come home as slow as I like. For example, 3rd place up the mountain, that would have got me 10 extra points. I could afford to drop a bunch of race points with 10 in the bag already. Now that was the plan, but actually what happened over the first 7.5 kilometers getting to the start of the climb was that I found myself staying with the leaders. Pancake energy, I assume. And so it crossed my mind that instead of the fastest climb, what might be easier would be to try and hang with that group of riders, draft them up the hill, and then when I get to the top, sprint as fast as I can to get first across the line points instead. And first across the line is not always the same as the fastest on that climb or sprint. For example, on the races where there is a sprint that I go for, the first across the line points are given to the person leading the race early on. I will then come along a few minutes later, nice and fresh, crush the sprint and get the fastest sprint points. So I just stayed with this group, wasn't quite sure what points I was going to go for, if I was going to be able to get any anyway. I just stayed close enough to the front that I could see if anyone was going to try and break away. And it was a long slog up this hill. As we got closer to the top, I started to wonder how I was going to use this. I've never had a ghost power up before, but I had a vague recollection from reading up on what all the different power-ups do, that it effectively stops anybody else from seeing you. You become invisible temporarily. I thought that might be handy as we get closer to the top. And so we get to this point. I've not done the climb up the volcano before, so I have no idea where the actual end of the climb is. And because it's curving around the volcano, I can't see it. I'm looking on the mini map and clearly it is not miles away. We are getting closer. And I was worried that if a few go off of the front, I'm a bit too far back to chase after them. But equally I'm worried that if I now start pushing really hard and come flying up behind that leading group, then the person in the front will see me coming on the leaderboard and they'll be saying to themselves, oh my God, Mark Lewis is coming up fast with his awesome sprint power.
Yeah, I'm sure he's saying that.
I am sure that is what he would be saying. So I drop the ghost power up and I go full on predator cloaking device, start moving through everybody, or Harry Potter invisibility cloak, insert your own lame invisibility movie reference. And I then pop up here in the lead. But I'm still not quite sure where the end is. I'm now slightly worried that I've gone a little bit too soon. So I'm looking over on the side, seeing who's dropping some big power numbers to try and come with me. And there are a few giving it a go, but I'm feeling all right. It's uphill, but I'm still getting close to 1,000 watts. I feel like I've probably got it. And I do. I am first up the hill. And now I'm just looking over on the other side to see who has come up behind me and gone faster up the hill. But they don't, so I get to roll down the hill knowing I've got 30 points already in the bag. First up the hill got me 10 points and the fastest time up the hill would have got me 20 points. Theoretically, it's possible for somebody on their second or third lap even to go faster still and take away my fastest time. But in reality on this course, the chance of somebody going faster up the hill on their second or third lap is almost impossible. And so the rest is pretty humdrum. I stay with the leaders for a while, but I'm never going to hold on to them. I get dropped in the end. I also get dropped by the small following group who come through and move on without me. I end up getting stuck in this group that has riders spread somewhere from about 20th position to maybe 35th position. I know that if I stay in that group, I'm on target for my top 30 place. That's fine, I just got to hang in there with them. And actually, it's an okay course. In advance of this, a lot of people have been saying how tough this course was going to be, and obviously the climb is tough. But you then get this really nice long downhill each lap. You get the super tuck and just stop pedaling and have a little rest. It wasn't too bad at all, actually. So jump in towards the end, 300 meters to go. I'm in the top 30, which is exactly where I want to be. I'm happy with that. I can see a little group of 3 up ahead of me. I know I'm going to get them on a sprint finish, so off I go. I managed to get past all of them relatively easily and end up coming in 24th place. So looking at the numbers, Zwift Power has me in 25th. I'm not quite sure why. There's obviously some jiggling of positions going on up ahead of me. Wattage numbers are all really good across the board. Happy with that. And obviously lap 1, first across the line at the top of the Volcano. That got me my 10 points. And my 7:54 time up the hill wasn't beaten by anybody later on. In fact, the fastest time on lap 2 was 20 seconds off, so no danger there. What is interesting is that with my sprints, they often compare quite favourably with people racing in categories above me. I often outsprint any B rider and an awful lot of the A riders. I think my last sprint was something like 5th out of the A category riders. That was not the case at all with the climb. In fact, the fastest B got up the hill over a minute quicker than me. So nice little reality check there as to my actual climbing ability. So going across to the Racing League points, I got 30 points for the climb. That was 10 for first across the line and 20 for the fastest time. I got 18 for the race itself. Gave me 48 points in total, which actually wasn't too bad. It put me in 6th place overall for total points on that race out of all category C riders, which at over 100 kilograms full of pancakes on a course with a volcano in it 3 times isn't too bad at all. And afterwards, I wasn't that tired either. I was able to spend some time with my wife and just play with the dogs a little bit, chilled out and relaxed. And then when I finally managed to actually get up off of the floor, as one would expect being Mardi Gras, I just had some more pancakes.